Well, our topic today is compound interest special application of annuities. So in this chapter, we're going to talk about very specifically about deferred annuities, constant growth annuities, perpetuities. It's a very special type of annuities in which the payments are forever. And then a very specific way of financing assets. That's what we call it as a leasing. So we will see how the leasings work in mathematical way of calculations. Application how to purchase a vehicle, get your motor running. That's application of a lease or a financing. Those two types of ways that you can borrow. You can buy a car. Either you buy through financing or through lease. So we will talk about that, and then we will talk about RRSPs. That's the instruments we can buy in order to manage our after retirement income streams. The way that it works and the way we have to calculate how much income we need at the time of retirement, and how much we have to invest so that we can get the targeted income after retirement. So these are the topics in and that's a topic in continuation of our previous topics, what we discussed about annuities, single payment annuities, multiple payments, and now we are talking about very specifically about the certain financial instruments in which we are using the concept of annuities. So let's start. The first topic is deferred annuities. So deferred annuities is a financial transaction where the annuity payments are delayed until a certain period of time has elapsed. Usually, the annuity has two stages. As we know that in the first stage, we make some payment as a down payment, and after a certain time, there is a regular payment started. And we will see that what is the final value of that annuity. So we can say that there are two stages for this accumulation stage. A single payment is allowed to earn interest for a specified duration, and there are no annual annuity payment during the period of time, which is commonly referred as the period of deferral. That's why the name is called as a deferred annuity. And then there is a payment stage. After that, you have to make a regular payments of a certain amount so that you can reach up to your target value. So the annuity takes the form of any of the four annuity types and start at the beginning the stage as per the financial contracts. So note that the maturity value of the accumulation stage is the same as the principal for the payment stage. So this is the way that it works. So we have here we noted down two different examples in order to understand this deferred annuity type of concept. So the first one is saying that the Frazier is a 33-year-old and just received an inheritance from his parents' estate. He wants to invest an amount of money today such that he can receive 5,000 at the end of every month for 15 years when he retires at the age of 65. If he can earn 9% compounded annually until age 65, and then 5% compounded annually when the fund is paying out, how much money must he invest today? So that's a calculates the simple payment that must be invested today. This is the present value of the deferred annuity. So we have to calculate the present value of deferred annuity. Now, what we need to here we have to calculate it. So the first example, that's an ordinary general annuity. This is an ordinary general annuity. So we want that the future value should be zero after retirement, 15 days after retirement. Uh, the IY, which is the interest rate, is 5% after retirement, and before retirement it is CY is the compounding period is annually one times a year. PMT, what we want is 5,000 after retirement, and PY should be 12, like 12 payments per year. And the number of years that we want is going to be 15 after retirement. So the period of deferral, that the period of deferred, we want to know what is a period of deferred or a deferral. Deferral, future value we want to find out, the present value ordinary ORD, and IY, in this case IY is 9% and CY is again 1 and the years are 32. Now why it is 32? Because right now his age is 33 and he's going to retire at the age of 65. So we can see that how many years involved is 32. Now what we have to do, the first thing what we want to calculate is I. I is 5% over 1, which is 5%, and N is 12 into 15, which is 180 times payments, 180 payments, 12 payments per year for 15 years. So if we apply the present value ordinary, so we can see that 5,000 is PMT, and the formula what we say is 1 minus 1 over 1 plus 0.05, right, and the CY over PY is 1 by 12, and this whole is 180, and this whole divided by 1 plus 0.05, 1 by 12 minus 1. So if we solve this whole thing, we get it 636,925.79. What is it? It's a present value at the time of retirement. It's a present value. What we want, that the investment should be of this value at the time of retirement, so that this person, Frazier can get 5,000 per month for the next 15 years. Now the last step in this case is, now we have a I is 9%, which is again divide by 1 is 9, and we see that N is 1 into 32 years, so it's going to compound it 32 times, and we see that 636, what we calculated above, 25.79 is equal to, that's a present future value for this step, it's a future value, is equal to present value into 1 plus 0.09 into 32. So if we solve it, the present value, we get it like 40,405.54. So this Fraser should invest this much amount in a deferred annuities. Right now, she should invest 40,000 without getting any payment. This amount is going to multiply to reach up to the 636,925.79. After that, he is going to get it 5,000 per month for the next 15 years. So this is the scenario that we are talking about. So the second question what we are talking here is Bashir wants an annuity earning 4.3% compounded semi-annually to pay him 2,500 at the beginning of every month for 10 years. To achieve his goal, how far in advance of the start of the annuity does Bashir need to invest 50,000 at 8.25% compounded quarterly, assuming 91 days in a quarter? So calculate the amount of time between today and the start of the annuity. This is the period of a deferral, or we call it as an N. So in this question, what we want to need the amount, the period of deferral, or we, in simple words, we can say we want to find out n. So let's start. This is our question number 1 in this particular case, and now we want to solve it question number 2. That is the case. So what we want that the future value should be of a 0. What is IY? IY is 4.3%, and CY is semi-annually 2. So PMT is 2,500. PY, payments per year, is 12, and the number of years are 10. So that's the whole thing. So period of deferral, what we want to find out. So present value 50,000. What we want to know, that's a future value is equal to present value due, and IY is 8.25%, and CY is equal to 4. So this what we want to know, that I for is 4.3% divided by 2, so we can get it 2.15%. N, in our first step, n is equal to 12 into 10, which is 120 payments after that deferral period. So what we want to know, we want to get it present value due. What we want to calculate it with a 25,000, 2,500 with the formula, which is 1 minus 1 over 1 plus 0.0215 raised power 2 by 12, and the whole is 120 divided by 1 plus 0.0215 exponential 2 by 12 and minus 1. So we can get it the value, which is equal to, and multiply by this is a due, and we know that the formula for due is a little bit change, and that change is only that we have to multiply this with a 215, this denominator value, by 2 by 12. So we get it the value 244 780.93. And then now we can find it out the same, that the present value is 244,780.93 is equal to 50 into 1 plus 0.0206, the rate 8.25% divided by 4. So we can get it 625 raised power n. So we want to find out this n, that this is 50,000, 50,000 into 1 plus n. So we know that we can solve it by taking, first of all, we have to solve it like in this way, like 4.895 618 is equal to 1.020625 n, and we take a natural log on both sides, and we can calculate it. If I make it here, so natural log of 4.895618 is equal to n into natural log of 0.0625. So N, we get it here, is 77.80 payments quarterly payments. And we can find it out the years in terms, when we divide it, we can get it 19 years 3 months. So these are the two examples. We can refer back to the idea of a deferred annuities. Now let's start to take care of the next step, which is or the next idea of the constant growth annuities. The concept of constant growth annuity is an annuity in which each annuity payment is increased by a fixed percentage. The figure here illustrates a 1000 initial payment growing by 5% each subsequent payment. So it's going to increase every time with a constant rate, with a fixed rate. It's a rate in which the growth is fixed. So there is a very specific formula we can use it to get it this annuity growth. Constant growth of annuity. Is an annuity in which each annuity is increased by a fixed percentage. So here is an example to get the idea that what is constant growth annuity. Bradford is a 27-year-old and starts investing 3,000 per year into his RRSP, earning 9% compounded annually. He decides that each year he will increase his contribution by 2.5%. Calculate the maturity value at age 65 for both an ordinary annuity and an annuity due. Now there are two things, like the ordinary annuity and the ordinary annuity due. So what is this Bradford is saying? The Bradford is saying in both annuities present value is 0. And IY, we know that IY is 9% and CY is 1 and PMT is 3,000. PY is 1 year per year. And how many years are involved? 38 years. And the change in percentage is 2.5% per year that he is going to contribute per year. And if we know, if we want to find out I, so I is 9% and CY is 1. It's 1. So 1 is equal to 9%. So N is equal to 38. So we can say 38 payments. So when we apply future value ordinary, so we see that 3,000 into 1 plus 0.025 raised power 37 into 1 plus 0.09, 1 over 1. So we get it, this is future value ordinary 1,199.91. And if we want to find out future value due, so what we have to do, we have to multiply this 1.102199.91 into this 1 plus 0.09 raised power 1 by 1. So we get it 12001 and 397.90. If it is due, then the investment should be this, and if it is ordinary, then the value should be this. So this is the way the 38 contributions amount to a total principal contribution. The maturity value of the ordinary annuity is this, and the annuity due in one compounded higher at this. So this is the way that we talk about this. Now, the next topic is perpetuities. As I mentioned before, that perpetuities are forever. So a perpetuity is a special type of annuity that has a fixed regular payment continuing indefinitely. If the principal of the investment is never withdrawn, then the interest earned each period can be withdrawn without affecting the future interest earnings of the investment. Therefore, the annuity continues to earn the same amount of interest each and every future interval and can pay out interest forever. And the way that we can calculate the formulas are given here, like for a present value ordinary, if we want to find out the present value of a perpetuity, in an ordinary case, like at the end of the period, if the payments are like this, then PMT divided by 1 plus I CY over PY minus 1, very simple formula. And if it is due, it's a present value due, then we have to PMT multiply by 1 over 1 plus I CY over PY as an exponential minus 1 plus 1, so whole the plus 1, and this is the period, that's what we get it, the present value of that perpetuity, in which we have a certain value of payment, that's a fixed payment forever. So these are the two questions we're going to talk about the perpetuities as well. So let's start discussing about the perpetuity. So Kendra is the human resource director and wants to offer a new employee perk through a corporate scholarship program. Each year, $10 each year 10 $1,000 scholarships are to be made available to the children of the company's employees. So number of scholarships are 10 and the scholarship amount is 1,000 for the children of the company's employee. If the first scholarship are to be offered annually starting 1 year from now, what amount must be invested today at 7.5% compounded annually to fund the scholarship program in perpetuity? So what we need to calculate an amount today that must invested such that it can pay out the needed fund at the end of every year in perpetuity. Payments and compounding intervals are the same, therefore this is an ordinary simple perpetuity. Determine the present value PV ordinary. Now this is a very simple question. There is no complexity in this question. What we want to know, the present value ordinary, the present value. So this is the one. This is the first one. Present value ordinary. If we want to find out present value ordinary according to our previous, we have to PMT and what is the formula? We can write it PMT over 1 plus I CY over PY, and that's the overall minus. So what we want to know from this question, we want to know the question like what is IY? IY is 7.5% and CY is 1. So we can say I is equal to 7.51 as well. And PMT is 10 into 1,000. So we can say it's a 10,000. And PY is 1. The payment is also 1. So for an ordinary, we can write it just like 10,000 divided by 1 plus 0.075 CY over PY, which is 1 over 1, right? And then minus 1. This is what we can calculate it. So if we calculate it, we get it the value like 333.33. So it's a 133,333 $0.33 the company invested, and by this investment they will get it this 10,000 annually forever, perpetual, with an interest rate of 7.5%. So this is very easy. Now if we want to calculate it, no, there is no need to calculate it ordinary, right? So we have to calculate it ordinary. Let's start the second one. In the memory of his late father, who has a highly successful marketing manager, Brian would like to set up a marketing scholarship program with his university school of business. He is able to donate 100,000 from his father's estate to set up the fund. If the perpetuity fund can earn 6.3% compounded semi-annually, and the first scholarship is to provided immediately, what annual scholarship amount can be offered? So again, we have to use the same formula, but this time what we have to calculate it, not the present value, but the PMT. And the other thing what we learned it here, it is the formula what we have to apply is, so that we can calculate it, what is the PMT. So present value is there, we apply the formula, and then we can see that how is gonna be work. Sorry, this is the second. So what is IY? IY is 6.3%. So if we want to find out CY is 2, and present value due, because it's in the beginning, which is 100,000, and PY is 1, right? That's the information given. And if we want to find out I, so we have to divide 6.3% by 2, and we get it is like 3.15%. So now what we have to do, we have to apply the formula, which is annuity due. So we can apply the formula present value due is equal to PMT into 1 over 1 plus I CY over PY minus 1, and overall there is a 1. So we can write it like PVY, present value due is 100,000. We want to find out PMT, and the rest of the formula is we can apply 1 plus 0.0315 into CY over PY is CY is 2 and PY is 1, so it's going to be 2 by 1 minus 1, and overall plus 1. So that's going to be formula for our So when we apply this whole, we can find out like a PMT is 6,014.35. So they can offer this much as a scholarship for this investment of $100,000 forever. Now, the next is a lease, which is a very practical thing and very close to our daily life routine. And most of the time we have to make a decision whether we buy a car on lease or on finance. So let's start with this idea. A lease is a contract by which the owner of an asset gives another party an exclusive right to propose and use the asset under specific condition for a specific period of time in return for an agreed upon payment. In other words, you are able to borrow something for a period of time and make payment on it. Lease is just like a rent. On rent, you take something. At the end of the lease, the asset is usually returned to the owner, or it can be purchased outright for a depreciated price. The owner of the asset is known as the lessor, while the borrowing party is known as lessee. So there are two parties, one is lessor, the other one is lessee. Normally we buy the assets like machines, plants, equipments, vehicles, and these type of things on lease. So here is a question, like Mazda is advertising a new Mazda 3 support with an MSRP inclusive of all taxes, deliveries, and fees for 39,091.41, means 39,091.41. It offers a 48-month lease with a lease rate of 3.9% effectively. The residual value of the vehicle is 13,354. 13,354. Determine the monthly lease payment, or if 2,500 down payment is made. So this is a lease question. So payments are made at the beginning of each period. Monthly payments, annual compounding creates a general annuity due. Calculate the annuity payment, or what we call it as a PMT. Now in this case, we want to calculate a PMT for lease, like lease payment, how much we have to pay for the lease. So let's start doing this question. So in this question, what we have a what we want to do, we want to know that the present value due is 39,091.41. What we have to do, we know that we have to make a payment immediately of 2,500, which is a down payment. So we can say it's a 36,591.41. IY is 3.9%, and CY is 1. PY is 12, like PMT is 12 per month, and the years are 4. So, and the future value should be that's the residual value, or at the time of lease ending. So what is the first step? We have to calculate I, which is 3.95% divided by 1, which is CY. So we can get it like 3.9%, no change. Then N is 1 into 4 compounding. So this is our future value, which is of 13,354.00. And we want to find out the present value if 1 plus 0.039 raised power 4 year, right? 4 years. So when we calculate the present value of this transaction, so we know that 11,000 459.06497. And what we want to find out, present value due, and we know that it is 36,591 minus 11,000. What we have to do, we have to calculate this, which in the present, because we want to find out the present value due. So 459.06497, so we get it like 25,132.34503. Now what we have to do, we have to apply the formula to figure it out, the PMT. So the future value, the present value due is 25,000. 132.345 is equal to PMT, which is we want to know PMT into the whole formula, which is 1 minus 1 over 1 plus 0.039 raised power 1 by 12 and the overall this one is going to be 48 divided by 1 plus 0.039 raised power 1 1 by 12 minus 1, and this is due, so multiply by 1 plus 0.039 raised power 1 by 2, 1 by 12. So when you calculate the PMT, you will get it the value like 563.78. This is a little bit tricky in the sense that what we want to know that right now how much we have to pay, what is the present value of the loan, because the price of the car minus the down payment, that's the present value of the car, what we are borrowing for. Then we figure it out what is the residual value, but the residual value is in a future value, so we have to convert that into present value. Now what is the present value of the residual car? Present value what we are borrowing, subtract it, you get it the real present value. Now apply the present value formula for annuity with the due, annuity due, in order to figure out the PMT. So let's start and do a few more questions from lease, and then we will move on to the other things. Bradford Enterprises just updated its computer mainframe system and leased its new equipment under a 2-year contract requiring a fixed quarterly payment of 17,300. Alternatively, it could have borrowed the money through a financial institutions at 6.85% compounded semi-annually. What liability amount, the capitalized lease liability, should be recorded on the company's balance sheet on the day the contract was signed after 5-year payment has been made? This is the lease questions. No payments are made at the beginning of the period. Quarterly payments with a semi-annual compounding creates a general annuity due. So this is a general annuity due. Calculate the present value PV due at two time points, today and after 5-year payments. So what we have to do, we have to find out the two things. And let's start with doing the first one, the first question. And the first question is saying what we have to do. The future value. Future value is 0, and IY is 6.5%, and CY is equal to 2, PMT is 17,300, and PY is 4. PY is per quarterly, and years are 2. Two-year contract. So what we have to do, we have a I. So I is 6.5% divided by 2, so we get it like 3.25%. And N for today, the first part for today, N is 4 into 2, so this is 8 payments. And what we have to calculate it, PV due. 17,300 PMT, 1 minus 1 over 1 plus 0.0325 raised power 2 by 4, and this whole 1 is going to be 8 divided by 1 plus 0.0325 2 by 4 minus 1, this whole, into 1 plus 0.0325 is per 2 by 4. So when you solve it, you get it the value which is 130,954.37. Same is the case with the after 5 years. Now after 5 years, how many payments are left? There are only 3 payments. Sorry, after 5 payments, not after 5 years. After 5 payments, how many payments are left? So we apply the same formula with the 3 payments, like 17,300, the whole 1 minus. So we get it, the value is like a 51,000 at 0.99. So in a after 5 payments, the value of the lease or the liability is going down. So the question is saying, what liability amount, the capitalized lease liability, should be recorded on the day the contract was signed and after 5 payments has been made. So on that day, the liability is of 130,954, but after 5 payments, the liability is going down to 51,080.89. So that's the way that we can calculate it. The next one is, what is it worth at the end? A Nissan 370Z Roadster A7 advertised in the local paper, offering monthly payment of 728.70 for 48 months at a 3.83% compounded monthly. The lease requires a 5,000 down payment, and the vehicle has an MSRP included all fees and taxes of 53,614.83. What residual value is used in the calculation? So what we have to do, we have to see what residual value we have to use in this calculation. So first of all, we know that how much down payment we are making, and we also see that how much payments we are making. So by this way, we can calculate the down payment. So let's start and do this question. So the question is, the first thing in this question is that we have a PV, which is the value of the car right now, 53,614.83 minus 5,000, which we have to pay as a down payment. So this is the leased or the borrowing amount or borrowed amount. Right, IY, we know that it is 3.83%. Compounded CY is 12, and PMT is 728. Excuse me, 728.70, and PY is 12, and years are 4. That's a 4 year. Now what we have to do, as all time what we did, we want to find out I, which is 3.8 divided by 12. So we get it like 0.031916%. And N is 12 into 4, which is 48 compounded. And Fy, which is a future value of this 48614.83, which we can multiply it with 0.003191 into the raised power is 48. So by this way we see that it is the future value is 56,649.58522. N is 48, we already know. So what we have to do, we have to do future value due. So future value due PMT is 728.70. We apply the formula. So when we calculate it, we get it 37. That's the residual value. We calculated through our payment how much we are paying, and in actual what will be the future value of that loan, and then we see the difference between these two. So this is the way that we can solve these questions, and the application ones you have to apply the same ideas on the application ones, like the purchasing or the RRSPs. So you can solve it, and you can figure it out by yourself that what is it, the solution. So thank you very much. Bye bye.